this is a lesson that I'll share with you, a piece of wisdom, right? Um, when you have a fear of your work being stolen or copied or taken or co-opted or whatever, or when you have a fear of being seen or a fear of showing your work and saying, this is my work that I'm giving to you, like that I'm sharing with the world, when you have those fears, you tend to be very vague with the language and the explanations for your work and why it exists. And I was able to figure out, honestly, thankfully, through the marketing campaign that I was working on, that specificity creates meaning and impact. So, first off, I hope that you have been doing really well and taking care of yourself and balancing all the things. Um, I went on a basically a 2 week sprint for a client um, about two going on 3 weeks ago. And yeah, I late nights, had to put certain things on the back burner, um, like locked in. Like if there was a picture in the dictionary of locked in, it was me. And so I finally feel like I'm like I had a huge marketing campaign I was working on, and it's out and it's going very well. And so I feel like now I'm finally able to like breathe, come up for air, and refocus and center myself on other things. Um, Recently, since that happened, y'all, I did not really like balance was not, it was like, what's balance? What is that? Like, I've got these things to do. I'm going to do it. I'll focus on the other stuff later. Probably not the wisest thing. I know it's not the wisest thing. And if like I would have told, if somebody else told me that they were doing that, I would have been like, maybe slow down. I did not slow down. I kept going faster. So, I've basically been in a little cocoon. I have felt like doing absolutely nothing except for making art and basically coming back into myself. Obviously, I have been doing some work, but not nearly to the intensity that I was doing before for that national campaign. Um, and so, yeah, in those couple of weeks since then, like I said, I've been making art. I've been dipping back into like centering myself spiritually, physically, mentally. Like, this is gonna sound crazy. I don't, it's kind of one of those if you know, you know. But like, y'all, my locks were like ashy. Like they were dry. Like dry. It didn't matter how much water I was putting on them, like spritzing, like it didn't matter what my usual routine was. I actually wasn't even following my usual routine. So like that's when I knew you got to come back. You got to come back. So locks are no longer dry. They're actually very moisturized now. I'm very happy with them. And yeah, I wouldn't even paint my nails. I usually paint my nails every week. I wouldn't even paint nails. I was breaking out because I was just like eating bullshit. Like it was just a whole thing. And so yes, I basically made that short-term sacrifice to get the thing that I really, really, really wanted and cared about done. And so now I'm back to rebalancing myself. There. Okay. So what else has happened since my sprint? Okay. I talked about self-care, back on it. Um, oh my gosh, what was this? 2 weeks ago, I actually the day that I like the campaign launched, I was featured on a podcast episode on the InspiHER'd podcast. I will link it. I interviewed, I sat down with them back in, it might have been sometime in April. It was sometime in April. And so it was a really amazing conversation. I feel like, so it was the first time I'd ever been featured on a podcast specifically to talk about my work, Reverb and Root. And so I feel like it was such a great practice and visibility. We talked about the importance of sharing our stories for collective power. We talked about all types of stuff. So again, I will add the link in the description. I'll also probably add it in this somewhere in the video at some point, someplace. And so yeah, there's that. I'm very excited about it. And I'm also excited because one of my goals this year was to be featured on like a number of podcasts. And so I feel like that feature, that interview is a really great example that I can link to so that in the future, as I continue pitching podcasts, other people will be able to hear about my work, hear that I can speak very clear with like really good clarity about the work, and that I can be pretty engaging and I have lots of thoughts. I probably could have gone way deeper than what we did. It was a 30-minute episode, so there's only so deep that you can go. But yeah, y'all watch it or not watch it, listen to it. Let me know what you think. I left that meet or that interview feeling very proud of myself. I have been working on, again, visibility, getting comfortable with being seen, but more importantly, getting comfortable with not being, with the possibility of not being understood and still being able to allow myself to sit in that discomfort while also being very clear about my point of view and making sure that I'm standing on a very strong point of view. And so I feel like I did that and I was really proud of myself. So there's that. We have been working on making updates to the website, specifically to the copywriting of the website. Not copywriting like legal, but like copy as in like the text that's on the website. So for like the last, uh, honestly, I feel like this has been a thing for years for me where I've have it in here and I understand very clearly like what it is that I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Um, like I understand like what's the process to getting to this goal and all of these things, and how it fits on a micro level and a macro level of like changing the world. But I have struggled for so long to be able to translate that into out of my head and onto a page or onto a website, onto this website. It's been a real challenge. I feel like like every time I try to, there's like some piece that's missing or like not clicking. And so I've been able to figure out exactly what that issue was. The issue is, and this is a lesson that I'll share with you, a piece of wisdom, right? Um, when you have a fear of your work being stolen or copied or taken or co-opted or whatever, or when you have a fear of being seen or a fear of showing your work and saying, this is my work that I'm giving to you, like that I'm sharing with the world, when you have those fears, you tend to be very vague with the language and the explanations for your work and why it exists. And I was able to figure out, honestly, thankfully, through the marketing campaign that I was working on, that specificity creates meaning and impact. Okay. That's one thing. The other thing, in addition to the fact that specificity creates meaning and impact, is that people need to be able to like realistically imagine victory or like what it is that whatever transformation or whatever future or world that you want everyone to like embrace and see. People have to be able to like realistically imagine themselves in that and their place in that in order to be able to really lock in to the vision and join and it for it to resonate. And so if, for example, for me, for the longest, I would say, oh, Reverb and Root is an online community and we, are, you know, see, that's the thing. That's literally it. That's literally exactly the perfect example. I would literally get to that point and I would be like, jumbled in my head. Instead of what it really is, which is Reverb Root is a self-sustaining ecosystem that exists to help Black, Indigenous women and femmes of color honor their unique paths on a micro embodiment level so that we can create personal revolutions that can impact our communities and the world. And we do this through the archive, which is the root system of the company. And the archive holds our history and our collective wisdom and our cultures. The Pathmaker tools are the workshop and the cohort. This is designed because oftentimes global movements happen on a personal level first. And so we're interested in making sure that Black, Indigenous women and femmes of color are supported in being able to follow their unique path so that by them following their unique path, by them reclaiming their time, their energy, their resources, um, and no longer feeling the need to be locked into the paths given to us by oppressive systems, we can retake our power and repurpose it for our communities and in the ways that serve us and serve others, and aren't exploitative. The collective is the canopy. So once a person goes along and starts clearing their own path, the idea is that they would find out what it is that they want to plant and they would plant themselves in a place where they can thrive. And ideally, that would be in the reverb and root ecosystem. And so the collective is the canopy. It makes up all of our individual trees, and we come together to support one another as we continue growing and thriving and all of those things. And then eventually, there will be the Reverb and Root Fund, which is essentially like the fertilizer of the company. And so the fertilizer of the company will be produced from the excess that is generated, the excess resource that's generated from the community. So we're not looking at getting funding from outside. We are literally looking at working towards creating an self-sustaining ecosystem that can support funding Black, Indigenous women and femmes of color within the community who are starting their businesses or their organizations. And we're doing this because two of the major known factors in women rising globally is education and economic access to economic resources. And so I have always been somebody who, if I didn't like the rules of the game, or if I didn't like the game or want to compete in the game, I create a new game, a new one. And essentially that is what Reverb and Root is. I do not believe in continuing to play the game of the systems we live in. And I think that more and more people are tapping into the fact that they don't want to play the game either. And so instead of me suffering through, and instead of me seeing people that I love suffer through by playing the game, I'm putting the ball down and I'm building something that we actually want to play within and that doesn't exploit us or exhaust us, but that actually is regenerative and doesn't require their their power or their influence in any way. And that is what Reverb and Root is. And so I am just now at this point where I have been able to explain this. I've been able to create a visual element so that people can understand how it all nests together and fits together. And so, what I've been working on for the last 2 weeks since my sprint ended is working on rewriting the copy on the website, the text on the website, so that when a person visits, they get it. They can see it, literally visualize it, and they can understand how it all fits together. And so, honestly, I really wish that I could have, that I honestly, I should have screenshot the original um, text on all the websites or on the web pages, but I didn't. I didn't think about that. But literally, it's like night and day. Like I was so vague on the website before. It was just like, oh, we, support women with this community that I'm building. And I didn't even say my face is on the website now. And it's taken me years to get to a point where I'm okay with my face being on the website because for the longest, it goes back to that fear of perception, that fear of if people know that I'm building this thing, will they think it's dumb? Will they understand it? Will I be criticized? Will people come for me? Anytime I've ever shared the work, people really enjoy it and they get it and they like it. And I am finally at a place where I'm like, no, I am building this. Like, it's me. I've built this thing. I really deeply believe in it. This is exactly, I feel like this is the first time where it's the what I see in my head, the way that I describe it and feel it in my head and in my heart and in my soul, it finally is perfectly reflected on the website. So yeah, I even like the name of the workshops and the cohort, like I named it Dream Lab a year ago, and for a year I was like, it doesn't quite feel right. I can't put my finger on why Dream Lab, like that name it doesn't sound right. And I realized it's because it's not specific enough. And it almost sounds like for me, I'm like it almost sounds like you can't really take it seriously. It's like it almost sounds like fantasy world as opposed to the Pathmaker workshop or the Pathmaker cohort. Like I'm gonna keep out I can talk about this like for forever, but I think at the core of it, it's the fact that I really, really believe that people don't realize how important it is to walk your own path. Um, And I think that's the distinction between the dream and path. It's like your path does not have to be big. And I think that that was the part also about Dream Lab, which to say dream, I think most people and like automatically think it's got to be something grand and big. And so people self-select themselves or kind of check themselves out from even thinking that it could apply to them. But yeah, I think that path, naming it as path, a path maker workshop, a path maker cohort makes so much more sense because whether you are building a company or an organization, or whether you have decided that you want to finally take your path and start clearing your path um, in your personal life, the framework still applies. And that's what makes me so excited is that the framework that I built through lived experience as someone who searched for a path that was paved and all I saw was the edge of a forest um, and realizing then that it's the path is not going to appear. I have to make it appear. And so I picked up my little machete and I just started, clearing away. It basically, the framework, I have used that framework in my professional life and in my personal life. And it's evergreen, y'all. It's evergreen. It works for so like, it's tried, true, and tested. And so I am really excited that I'm in a place now where um, the language, the narrative that I've now updated and put on the website actually reflects that. So yeah, there's that. I've even, which this was something that I had been thinking through over like the last couple of months. Um, like I think there were still pieces of me that were trying to build a company while still modeling the aspects of the old system that deep down I knew weren't for me. And so one of those things includes like promoting, this can sound wild, but one of the things includes like promoting the workshop or promoting the cohort. Like I a few times have thought like, oh, I need to create a whole marketing strategy and like promote, 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 promote because, you know, research says that a person has to see something like 7 times before it, they register and actually like pay attention to what they're saying. I am so tapped into going with the flow and like going lightly and not forcing. Like Reverb and Root is literally based the way that I've created it and designed it. It's literally based off of like the redwood forest, and like what we see in nature. And in nature, I there's not a whole like things emerge. They emerge the way that they're supposed to. Obviously, there's probably some things like earthquakes that are forceful, but in general, when I go out into nature, things go lightly and slowly and with intention. And I am very much tapped into going lightly. And so instead of thinking of, okay, how can I launch marketing campaigns and um heavily promote the workshop and the cohort, like what if I just had a wait list, a running waiting like wait list where as people organically discover Reverb and Root and what I'm building, people can join the wait list. And when I hit a certain threshold, then I can open it up for registration with a date and a time and all of that stuff. So it's still like I'm still putting out content and I'm still offering value and I'm still like I'm not using it as an excuse, this model as an excuse to not share. I'm still sharing and showing up and really practicing visibility by being on podcasts, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm just not shoving the work down anybody's throat. It never felt right to me. It's always felt kind of icky. I want people to, and honestly, I had this in my vision board, like people will organically find my work and they will love it. And so I'm trusting that. And so, yeah, that mental shift of I am no longer focused on forcing people to find my work, like through ads and advertisement and all the things and the traditional way of marketing. Like I'm not doing that anymore because that's exhausting. And I feel like if it feels icky for me, it's not going to resonate with people. And so, yeah, I am going lightly, but with intention and sustainability. And I basically gathered that by going back through the Pathmaker framework that I've made. I was like, it doesn't make any sense for me to create something and to be like, okay, one and done. Now I'll share it with other people. Like I still to this day use it. And so yeah, I am excited. I'm feeling good and I'm feeling much more rested and I'm gonna keep resting. Um, And yeah, so that has been what's been going on with my life. If you are interested in seeing the changes, of course, if you're somebody new here, you probably won't know, but I would actually even better. I would love to know what you think. Send me a message, add a comment. Um, I want to know how the new updates on the website. So I updated the homepage, the about page, the workshop page, and the cohort page. I am very interested in seeing how it resonates with people, if it resonates with people, and if the way that I've explained it makes sense and people get it and connect with it. I literally had gotten to a point, which if you've been following since like January, I've been telling you constantly, like things are kind of going slow, like, but even more transparently, like I felt like I was grinding through everything. Not everything, but a lot of things. And so I finally feel like I've hit some major breakthrough, and I was literally like, me being vague and trying so hard to like protect my baby, is not working. And so, excuse my language, but I was like, fuck it. I'm going to put it all out there. I'm going to be as specific as possible. I want people to be I need to work towards and work through and create something, content on this website so that people can very clearly see what I'm seeing in my head to the best of my ability and actually understand it and understand how it all weaves together and understand the bigger picture, the larger picture, how this is how a personal revolution and clearing our own paths as individuals works and feeds into quite literally changing communities and changing the world. And so I feel like I did that. So if you have time, please do take a look. Let me know what you think. I also have added a lead magnet on there. I don't know if it's to tell you it's a lead magnet, but for the purpose of transparency, I really would love to grow the email list. Um, and so, yeah, I've got a lead magnet on there. And I'm not going to send you a ton of just like, I'm not going to inundate you with like tons of emails. That is annoying. I hate it. And I hate when people do it to me, so I'm not going to do it to anybody else. So yeah, it's an inner compass guide. Basically, it helps you gain clarity and alignment with like your vision, your beliefs about yourself, and your path. So that way you don't get lost in the forest. You always have something like a north. It's like essentially calibrating your inner compass because I believe that we all have the answers, the deep core answers, those are within. We just need to have it from here out onto paper so that we can always have something to go back to. I have gone back to mine multiple times. Multiple times. And so I hope it's as helpful for you as it is for me. And also, if you would like to join the wait list for the Pathmaker workshop or the Pathmaker cohort, you can also do that too. It's on the website. You can read more about it and why I think that it's amazing and you should join. Um, I haven't quite decided what that threshold is going to be because I like to keep them smaller for because there's a lot of in addition to like you doing the work on your own, that personal element to it. What makes it, I think, magical and really great is that you're within a community. And so there is a threshold that I am still trying to figure out what exactly is that sweet spot number. But sign up for the wait list. I'm hoping that maybe by like the end of the summer, I can open up registration for one or ideally both. So yeah, that is it. I really do hope you're doing well. It's been a busy, I can't even believe that June is like it's already June. It's been a really busy 6 months, and I feel like I've done so much deep inner work to even be able to get to this point. And I'm personally really proud of myself. And so if you have made it to the 6 months and you feel like you have been through some shit, you're still here and you should be proud of yourself because just because it's tough out here. It's real tough out here. So we need all the joy and all of the resilience and all of the community and hope that we can get. And so I find that focusing on those things, focusing on what it is that I'm building, um, focusing on the people that I love and doing the things that I love absolutely keep me from both complacency and also keeps me from feeling despair in a world that seems to have a lot to be despairing about. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that's a hopeful note or a sad note. I don't know. Either way, I hope you have a great week and we will talk later. Okay, bye.